Gold-tinged excrement is a highly stable substance. It doesn't dry out, nor does it lose its customary warmth or scent. For better or for worse, it remains as it is. No doubt in your travels through the lands between, brimming with fantastical foes and sublime vistas, there has been one crucial question that seems to find its way to the centre of your attention. Why, oh why, is this excrement tinged gold? Are the bears and boars of the lands between boasting such flawless diets that their waste matter is literally glowing? Is the loathsome dung-eater actually onto something? These are the pressing questions I'm here to answer. Why is it gold? Let's find out. A simple answer to this question could be that if you eat food that grows in the light of the Erd Tree, then your feces might have a slight golden hue. It's the kind of thing your doctor would tell you not to worry about. But what if there's another explanation? If you've seen my previous video explaining all the lore you need to know regarding Elden Ring's intro cinematic, then you'll know that the primordial god of order, the Greater Will, exercises its beatific influence over the lands between via the Erd Tree. From its vast canopy high above the lands, the Erd Tree shines its golden grace in dazzling sunbeams, which warm the earth and bring life to every corner of the realm. It also sheds golden leaves, which inevitably pass through the understory to become a part of the organic, nutrient-dense humus in the soil. The role of the Erd Tree in the life of all things is unavoidable. At the height of Marika's reign over the lands between, when the Greater Will's influence was at its most potent, all the inhabitants of the realm would have basked in the golden rays of the Erd Tree, eaten the fruits that flourished in the sunshine, and the inhabitants would prosper as a result. But with the shattering of the Elden Ring, all of this changed. The rune of death was expunged from the ring, and the fallout from this brought chaos into the lands between. I'm sure you're wondering, Drew, what does this have to do with golden poo? Well, allow me to elaborate. A fragment of the rune of destined death was stolen by Ranni and imbued into the blades of the Black Knife assassins. In what became known as the Night of the Black Knives, these assassins fell upon the royal capital under the cover of darkness, and did what was previously thought impossible. They slew a demigod. Not just any demigod, but the golden heir of Marika's domain, Godwyn. Ranni's scheme involved sacrificing her body and transferring her spirit into a doll. In order for this to work, she needed to sate death. A body alone would not be enough, so she would need to offer death a spirit in place of hers. This spirit was Godwyn's. So, Godwyn's soulless body endured in the physical world, a lifeless husk slumped in the deep-root depths at the base of the Erd Tree. Godwyn became the Prince of Death, and his corpse began to corrupt the Erd Tree. Death roots began to sprout up across the lands between, and beings influenced by this malignant decay learned to live in death. And certain creatures began to harness the power of the Deathblight curse. It just so happens that the creatures who most frequently drop gold-tinged excrement are the blighted worm-faces. With everything we've just discussed in mind, would you say this is merely a coincidence? Or have we in fact unearthed a great gold-tinged conspiracy? Little is known about the worm-faces. Hunched and emaciated, the worm-faces roam the forests of the Altus Plateau, obscured by mists that blot out the daylight. They huddle in small groups, their voices a guttural lament. We don't need to know much about them to know they are accursed beings. But what we do know for certain is that the worm-faces are corrupted creatures, and they have no doubt been influenced by the touch of death. Could it be that the worm-faces are unable to digest the food that grows in the purifying light of the Erd Tree? Their undeath goes against the order of the Greater Will, and as a result, it could be the case that their bodies simply cannot process the nurturing goodness of grace. Gurranq, the beast clergyman, who is also Malekith, Marika's shadow sibling and the guardian of the Rune of Death, seeks out death roots in a vain attempt to satisfy his unending hunger. He merged his body with his black blade of death, corrupting him beyond measure. I'm sure due to his ceaseless appetite, Gurranq has no need to defecate, but if he did, and he tried to eat things that grow in the light of the Erd Tree, then he wouldn't be able to process them either. His excrement would be gleaming gold. Of course, corrupted beings are not the only creatures to drop gold-tinged excrement, as you'll find boars and bears dropping it too, But there's no doubt that the Greater Will's influence is abundant in all things. This would explain why all things possess runes that are transferred upon death, little fragments of grace. But I believe that the further a creature strays from the Greater Will, the less capable of digesting grace they are, and the more gold-tinged their excrement will be. Hence why the worm faces and Garank are the main offenders. And if you're not convinced, the wiki page for Garank at the time of me writing this video says only one word, and that word is poop. And there you have it, guys. What are your thoughts on my theory? Here at Drumora, we only cover the most important lore topics. Thanks so much for watching. My name's Drumora, and I'll see you in the next one.